and corals are destroyed. When fishermen drop explosives in the water, wiping out reefs, and killing far more fish than are ever harvested. Each day, more than 4 million fishing boats set out to sea to feed a growing human population. In 2009, Americans alone consumed more than 2 billion kilos of seafood. Researchers around the world are trying to understand how to protect our oceans from the ever-increasing demands of people.
As a conservation biologist, I have two different jobs. One of them is to learn more about the biology and ecology of animals, but at the same time, as you're out every day, you're almost on patrol. Basically, you're going up and down the coast, literally looking for dead animals on the beach, nets, people poaching these animals, and then you're, reporting back to authorities. So you're almost, acting as a ranger at the same time as you're acting as a biologist, and it's really sobering.
People have the mentality that the oceans are just huge, vast pools of resources, but those resources are limited. For a lot of different fisheries, where we're probably reaching a critical point where we're at the limits of what it can actually handle.
Over the years, shark populations have declined dramatically, and that's largely due to the gill nets that occur along the coastline, and also targeted fishing for sharks. Chinese syndicates have formed along the coastline that are buying shark fins, so local fishermen respond by actually killing sharks.
Recent estimates suggest that populations of large sharks have declined by 90% or more.
The biggest threats to sharks in general is humans. In certain areas, they're doing large beach nets to protect surfers and swimmers. In other areas, it's the shark finning, and just a misconception about what type of fishing these animals can withstand, and then the role and the importance of these animals in the environment.
Sharks are the ocean's apex predator. Without them, the entire food chain collapses. They're efficient, opportunistic hunters. They prey on old, sick, and weak fish, maintaining the overall health of the population. Losing sharks would be a tragedy in itself. But the impact of human influence is felt at every level of the food chain, down to the tiny plankton that underpins all oceanic life. Humans dominate the ocean's food chain. We are the last link. There is no greater predator. As ocean temperatures rise due to climate change, the cycling of chemicals in water is disturbed, creating a difficult environment for plankton growth.
The zooplankton is what most fish feed on. A lot of planktonic fish, and even things like manta rays and whale sharks. When there's a lot of biomass of fish, of course you're going to have a lot of predatory fish. So it really starts with the nutrients being driven up the coastline, and basically you see effects all the way up the food chain.
More than marine life needs plankton to survive. Terrestrial life does too. Most of all, humans. We owe every other breath we take to phytoplankton, the producer of nearly 2/3 of all oxygen on our planet. The absence of plankton would mark the end of life on Earth. And yet we've only scratched the surface when it comes to learning about these essential life forms. From copepods to snails and crab larvae, a remarkable diversity of tiny drifters floats on the current. triggering a feeding cycle in every habitat. We may know little about them, but there's one thing we do know. These tiny microscopic organisms are the unsung heroes of our oceans. And their epic journey is perhaps the most important of any creature on Earth.